Bullshit.
Welcome to another episode of the No BS Marketing Show. Last week on the show, we interviewed clients and friends to get their perspective of the No BS marketing platform throughout the years. This week, we dive headfirst with the Mastovich family, interviewing Dave's parents and sons as they share heartfelt stories and experiences. To begin, we sat down with Alec, Brevin, and Carter to answer a few questions, and this is what they had to say.
The thing I like most about my dad's No BS marketing platform is definitely the workshops, because I like the podcast and the blogs and everything too, but being an intern, I got to help firsthand with the workshops, and I got to see how much effort he puts in and time off the screen and stuff, and how just under control he is, and how he takes time for each of the CEOs or in the workshop to help whatever they need before and after. Because before we do prep, what people don't even realize and the CEOs don't realize, and then after we do bombs and other stuff that we specialize with exactly what they need to help, so we can try to help them. And he actually cares about the clients and the CEOs, so it's just cool to see. And then how long the CEO workshop is. It takes a couple hours sometimes, and just how he is so calm and under control and doesn't get frustrated or tired. Because even whenever I was working with him firsthand, I would see, because of COVID, we were doing them a lot over the cameras and using lights and stuff because we had to do it from home, and just how he just doesn't even get fluttered or flustered or anything, because there's issues with the other places, like when we were doing Denver and Las Vegas and stuff. There was tech issues, and he didn't even care, and he was just under control. It was just cool to see that, and that's one of the things that people probably don't even realize about the platform is the workshops, and that's probably my favorite thing.
What I like most about the No BS marketing platform, being one of the three sons, I get to see a behind the look, kind of like Brevin, what he said. I get the opportunity to see the No BS show and his ideas from the start and finish before anybody else sees them. And it's just really cool, and I get to learn and grow from what he's teaching me. And I'm not really an intern like Brevin, but I did do a lot of the workshop and lighting and other type of stuff and bomb videos even, but I didn't get paid. But I mean, I gotta sell my invoice for him. But I mean, I think it's really cool. It doesn't really matter the price, because I don't care about being paid. It's just the knowledge that I gained from that was just something that I can never get back.
The one thing I like the most about the No BS marketing platform is how genuine it is. My dad does a really great job of making each episode different from the last, podcast different from the last. He takes really good pride in that, and I've seen it firsthand over the years, and with me, Brevin, and Carter working over the years. I take pride in that, knowing that, it's a great family company, and he really wants to put the best product out there. And you can slap on a podcast for 10 minutes or 30 minutes, but no matter what episode or blog you read, it's going to be very valuable to you. And anyone, no matter if you're a college student or old, you can find something of value for your expertise or professional career.
So you could tell 1,000 stories about how my dad's a no BSer, because I could be talking all day. But there's the one thing I thought that was really cool that he did before anyone was those light readings with the music. He did those, and before, this was a long time ago. I can't even give you the year, probably 2007, 2010. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think it was around 12 years ago, I think, was when we did a couple of the Sounds of Marketing, or the later ones, so probably 2005 to 2008, maybe?
Yeah, so I was younger, but I could still see. I remember going on vacation. My dad was working on some of those and making those, and that's just the way I think of that. A no BSer. He's doing something that I would never think of, and I've never seen something like that before. So, and then another reason I think he's a no BSer is because he started this podcast before podcasts were really like they are today. There's a billion podcasts now. Before when he was doing it, I didn't really even realize how what a podcast was really going to be until what it is now. And I listen to him here and there. I have a couple favorites, but it's just crazy to see what my dad's really built here, and I'm proud of him because I remember being at Grandview whenever our second house whenever he like first started thinking about doing it, and then he was just so passionate about it. So that's whenever I really thought he was, a couple times he's no BSer.
For me, as the oldest son, one way that I found out my dad was a no BSer would probably be how he would always have our back. So I'll tell a quick story here. I wasn't necessarily a troublemaker, but one time I got in a little trouble at high school, and we'll say that I was not in the wrong here. I needed some defense. So my dad just, he rolled up out of town, came in a suit and Ray-Bans, and got right to the point, came into the principal's office and was very stern but very fair, aggressive, but what he had to be. And I'll never forget, because we got what we needed, but we didn't look like we were, like a white Karen or something, or, how things are today. So it was very interesting. I really respect how professional he was, but, he could get the job done, whether it's on the field, off the field, or business or in personal life. So it's interesting to see how this guy can be in different arenas and still find a way out successfully.
One, not necessarily a time, but an entire saga, you could say, of Mass AAU. I know that he was not a bullshitter in that respect, because he coached Alec, Brevin, and I, and we obviously went through so many teams, so many different, wins and losses, and there's many games in AAU. It's a weird business that there's a lot of cheating, you could say, for certain teams. And my dad never really stood for BS. And I remember one time in Solon, Ohio, I think multiple teams got cheated. Alec and my team, I believe, got cheated. And I think Brevin's team may have gotten as well.
It didn't matter if we were cheated.
Yeah, it didn't. But my team at that time, we had not lost a game. We won every single game. Mm-hmm. So when the first time that we lost that season, we were absolutely cheated. We got technicals called on us. My dad got one of his technicals that he rarely ever gets a technical, maybe in 10 years. It's very rare. And one of our players got technicals, and he just wouldn't stand for it. He went straight to the tournament director, not in a Karen way, as Alec would say, but in a businessman sort of respect, that said you know what, we're one of the best teams. We won't even come back and stuff like that. So he just would never stand for any bullshit, whether it's basketball or in life in general.
So one thing that I really learned from my dad coaching, and even my teammates when we were younger, would be win with class and lose with class, which means sometimes the game or the refs or something doesn't go your way, but you still have the respect of the other team and the game to really just show the respect, I guess, don't pout, don't cry, and I could tell you right now, I've been a part of so many different teams, good and bad. I've been on teams have won playoff games, teams, and then I've been on teams that are you struggling just to even win a game here and there. So it's good to learn that, because whenever you're high and mighty, you're winning, you still show the team respect. You don't rub it in their face, and then whenever you're losing, you don't get in a fight or try to beat someone up because you're losing. And I can tell you right now, my old teammates from Metro and stuff could tell you the win with class, lose with class, because my dad would say it every game, win or lose. So that's something I really take in. I could still even do it today, because even if I don't do well in a class or something, I'm not gonna cry and fight. I'm not gonna go be rude to the professor. I'm gonna still show up and just show them the respect that I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, with my teams, we usually were at a very high percentage of wins, and when we lost, there'd be some players on the team that might cry. There'd be some players on the team that might get really down. But my dad always taught us, every single player that's ever played for my dad knows win with class, lose with class. And if you lose, it's unclassy to just cry and not shake hands. You got to go shake their hand, congratulate them, and respect for the game. Like Brevin said, you got to respect the game of basketball.
Yeah, I think you guys brought up some great points. So as the oldest, I remember the original MASSolutions AAU team was Bethel Basketball Club, if anyone remembers those days. And we always took pride in the MASSolutions name, and we'd be on tournaments and you'd have the big bracket on the wall, and they'd be like, MASSolutions, what is this? And it'd be my father's company. So the win with class, lose with class, it's a beautiful motto. He'd always make sure we leave it all on the floor and make sure that we carried the best reputation for the brand. But behind the scenes, not many people knew how much of a personal coach he was. I've played football and basketball at a couple different high schools and had plenty of coaches, and I'm not even just saying this because it's my father, but you really don't appreciate how good of a coach you have until the coach doesn't coach you anymore. And man, this guy, he would be there for every kid, whether you're the 10th best guy on the team or of a star. He'd make sure you get some minutes, and not even about that, just he'd make sure that you were seeing value in being there, and he'd really make sure that you were having a good time while we were winning and making sure that you felt like you were part of a team. We had a great mantra there. All three of us had great teams to be around. Even if we weren't winning so much, it'd be a great culture and everything, and I think that's what he taught us to still carry to this day.
Yeah, building on what Alex said with the 10th best guy and the best guy, whether you were the best guy or the 5th best guy or whatever whatever your strength was, he would use you in the game
Exactly.
to exactly of your abilities in the perfect time. So like players that normally for any other coach wouldn't see the last 3 minutes of the game, he would fit in that 3-point shooter with 2 minutes left that normally wouldn't be in the game, or that really good defensive player for that, or a great rebounder. Like he would mix that in with the game the entire time, and everybody would get those valuable minutes throughout the game.
That's a great point. I think Brev could even add on this too. He would plan out things to such a far extent, like even with Coach Gilmore on the bench and Coach Andrews. He'd be like, what do you think about the 8-minute and 20-second mark? We put Mike Capusta in or someone like that. It's just crazy how much he would plan it out and just cover all the bases.
Yeah, and one thing that he gave with a lot of coaches I played for didn't, and it's not really their fault, but it's just the way he is, his style, is giving the player freedom and giving the player if you're able to make a mistake and still be okay. Like I've been a part of teams where if you get yanked, you make a mistake or something. It wasn't even me if I made a mistake. My teammates, if they turn the ball over or they foul someone, something stupid, like he wouldn't freak out. He would give you a chance to at least make up for it, or at least give you a couple minutes to just forget about it and then take you out if you needed it. He wouldn't just yank you, and that's, you don't see that as much as you should, because I feel like that's just not the way you should coach. And I'm not trying to single out other coaches. I'm just saying that that's just how a lot of coaches.
Exactly.
Really,
Because, that kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth and bad memory, too. You don't want to have any bad memory of getting yanked from some game or something and, having a bad taste in your mouth for a long term. He'd really let you work through your mistakes, and he was a really personable coach.
one thing that others might not know about my dad is he's always trying to. Well, I don't think he's even trying. He's always teaching without even meaning to. Because through basketball and even everyday life and this internship, he's just taught me so much little things, and he's trying to teach me about life and stuff that I don't know, or I'm not even prepared. So I'm getting the experience that I've learned from him throughout my whole life is great, and I can just tell that he's not even trying to teach me, but I'm smart enough to take in what he's saying because he's successful and he's a great dad. So I try to just learn every chance I get, and he wants, and another thing that people won't know about him, he wants to make you better. He cares about everybody, if it's one of the team members on the Mass team or it's a team member on a basketball team or something. He just wants what's best for you and everybody. So that's something that I think others might not know about my dad.
I think that's a great point. I think to continue off that, another facet that people might not know about our dad is this guy has a motor like no one else. We used to call him the machine. His drive and his passion is unmatched. Truly, I've seen him just work on vacation, answer calls at 11 o'clock at night, do everything in between him, and still find time to get to practice at 6 o'clock. I don't know how he finds the time of the day to make it all work. But like Brevin said, he'd still coach you and be so personable with everyone, but without being a watchdog. And I think that's a really tough thing to have because, you can't really make a relationship with a boss and have someone as a mentor or someone you truly care about like the old days or anything now. And our dad, he just works through and just has so much passion. And if you're on the team, he's going to make sure that you're taken care of and that everything's smooth and we're all operating to peak efficiency. I've even seen back years ago when he first started the podcast, the technical issues we've had at the company are just something that follows him around with our bad luck. But he'll never give up. I remember Eric Walker was shooting the show with him in Philadelphia, and they tried to film a whole episode in the hotel room. Hour and a half later, the whole episode didn't record. This guy is unfazed, just right back at it, doing it again. If that was me, I'd be throwing a computer out of the room. Just, he'll do anything to get results, and he'll make sure that, it's the best results he can give, and it's a superior result and driven response.
Next, we have Dave's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Mastovich, as they share wonderful stories that some may have never heard before. From Dave's early on entrepreneurial skills to the beginning days of Dave on the radio, this is what they wanted to share.
This is the 5th anniversary podcast. This is Brevin, Dave's son. I have 2 very special guests for this week's podcast. It's my grandfather and grandma, Pappy and Grammy. I was going to say hello.
Hi, bro. How you doing?
So when did my dad get into radio? I know that he was doing it in college. Did he do anything before, like newspaper or anything? I know Uncle Mike and him started jobs and stuff, but...
Well, he had his DJing business. That was, and I was a roadie, so you remember that.
Yes, they started in their teenage days. Both of our first Mike and then Dave started, right, Ty?
Yeah. Didn't they do like ice or something? What did they do? What was their businesses?
I forget it.
Didn't they do ice or something?
When I had refrigerator, I had an ice machine that I had in the shop that I kept full of ice. Initially, I was working on it to repair it, and I repaired it, and the customer ended up saying they're going to buy a new one, so I ended up letting it in the shop, and it was running in there. And so my enterprising son, David, which Mike was the roadie for his too. He took my place. Well, he was energizing that. He still went down to the businesses in town, the bars and places, and went in and asked if they needed ice. He can give them a good deal on ice, good price. So he got about 7, 8 orders to start. So we ended up going when his mother was over buying meat at the grocery store, pub store. They had these bags over there that were 5 and 7 and 10 pound bags. So they got 10 pound bags. She got off of the meat place, and they ended up. That was another customer for the meat place. Was our son's buying ice bags to pack ice and sell it. And they had, I'd say, 4 or 5 regular customers. Weekends were crazy. So they'd be in the ice business for a while.
Back in the radio, what did he start? He started in college, right? Or did he start before that? High school. Okay.
High school up on Cover Hill. He was a DJ on the radio on certain set hours. Started out part-time, and then he was full-time. And then next thing I know, he was regular up there. Then when he went down to Indiana, the radio station in Indiana, he was a DJ down there on a year while he was going to college. So he was well into the radio.
Yeah, he was really getting himself ready for the podcast. That's what he was doing.
Way back in, he was thinking about it.
He didn't even know it.
Yeah, he was thinking about it. Yeah, I remember him telling me stories how he had to sell like ads to the radio stations, or the radio stations would get ads from people. So it was cool to learn about that, but I didn't realize he had started, where did you say, Cover Hill or something?
It's up on top of Frankstown Road, Cover Hill, the radio station. It was WJNL at that time.
He was just in high school when he got that job, right?
Yeah, he was in high school with that. But I was talking about sales. He did the same thing after the bars and that. He went to different clubs. He got their advertisement and different newsstands and different places all around. The small ones, next thing I know, he was going into big businesses. So he was very enterprising at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, that just shows that he wanted to start and do stuff on his own, which was good. That's kind of how he got had the drive to start his own business. And then
you know what? We didn't push him into this. This was something he went into on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Ty?
Yep.
We just went along with him, but we didn't push him to go into, or even suggest that he go into that.
No, and then the ice machine business, as I said, when they got started with that, they saw they could make some money in that. I pitied Michael when our son Michael and him were together and did work together. Dave would ask Mike, well, here's what I think we ought to do here, and we draw this. They started comic books, writing comic books to them, and they had Michael Mino making pictures. But yeah, it used to be funny. You'd hear them, they'd be real quiet, and they'd have an idea, and then they'd go draw the pictures and that. And his brother Mike, your Uncle Mike, he'd draw the picture all out. It would be all real nice, and he'd slide it over to Dave and look at it, and he'd take a picture.
You didn't do this. You didn't do that.
Finally, they'd get to arguing, and I said, look, Dave, I tell him, Mike draws the pictures. They're all drawn good. But in your mind, they're not what they are, so he can't think what you're thinking. You gotta let him draw the pictures, then look at him and say, no, I wanted this, or that. I said, he used to jump on him, and Mike would work like hell and get the thing all nice, and then they would, that's not what I'm talking about.
Uncle Mike was just trying his best. My dad wants everything perfect. I think I remember hearing a story that great-grandma was actually sitting there watching, and she told my dad, she's like, stop being mean, Uncle Mike, because he's just trying his best. He's not trying to make you mad. That's funny.
That used to be a regular one.
Yeah.
Oh, he like I said, he was a hustler. I'll say he was a hustler for him and Mike both. I said he was a salesman out there with the ice machine stuff. Mike would have the bags tagged, the bookkeeping and everything written up, and Dave would do the running and selling, and they both delivered in. So then they delivered. That went a good while, I guess, until they were both up in high school pretty high before they got out of that. They were seniors maybe. That's when he got into DJing. He was doing too many things at once.
They just split the money between them. Is that what they did?
Yeah, well, they learned how to. He had to buy bags and have enough money for his dad, and then they didn't get nothing to dad for the ice machine or the ice or pay and water or light bill. That was free gratis. I said, business don't work like that.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I'm glad that I got to come up here, and I always love coming to Johnstown because, I mean, it's my dad's hometown, and I could tell he loves it so much, and it's always good to see my grandma and grandpa, Graham and Pappy. So I was glad that I got to talk to you guys here, and is there anything else you want to say?
Well, yeah, we're very proud of both our sons, Michael and Dave, and they both did well.
Yeah.
And their children are taking after them, and they're coming up through the ranks. So I think we can carry on our name and family traditions. I hope it stays in a good and trustworthy and
it will
sentimental way. I'm sentimental with all of the kids, both sides, everybody, and we enjoy having them here with us and visiting that. Now that they're all grown up, we sort of miss sleeping out on the porch and doing different events and fishing and so forth. So I hope we can carry on that now with our grandkids' kids.
But back to saying outside, last time I visited, I told Pappy, I was like, are we going to sleep outside? And then I was like, let's go BB gunning and fishing. And you're like, hey, I can't do it. I'm an old man. I can't be doing that. So yeah, I gotta keep that tradition going. The story for the listeners, my grandpa, me, Alec and Carter would sleep out on this little porch. It'd be great. We'd have sleeping bags. It'd be nice because it's like a cold air, but we had to have been so young. I can't imagine Pappy's back, like waking up in the morning and having to move around. I feel like my back would hurt so bad because if I did that right now, it would hurt. I'm 21. So that's just a funny little mini story. But yeah,
it was just you with the kids too. I wasn't out there.
Well, you come out for a little bit. You would be smart enough to go inside and sleep.
Pappy was happy to have you guys out there.
Paperboy would meet him in the morning.
Yeah, he'd wake everybody up. All right, well, I think that's good ending this show.
He got scared. He didn't know whether to drop the rod or what. We got to stick soaps and worms. We never got the fish.
Okay, so Marcel, this is the ending, but we're just going to add this in. This is going to be like a mini story. So, okay, I'll talk to him and say, how do you want me to start this? You want to say,
with the Boy Scouts,
okay.
We had a nice fishing trip.
So, with the trips you guys would go up to the cabins and everything, did you guys ever have any fishing trips?
Yeah, we used to have it in the borough here. There's a big dam up on, it's about I'd say 7-8 mile hike. So we used to have the guys with a merit badge apply for them. You had to do a 5, a 10, or 15 so many mile hike each time, so many hikes to earn a merit badge. So we used to always have from the borough building, which was our Boy Scout building in town, and hike the whole way up through the mountain and down into the dam up, which was about we'd count that as the 5 mile hike because it came out to like 6-7 miles. And then when you got there, you could walk and fish the whole way around the dam. So by the time I had my best buddy Dino was a scoutmaster with me, we were both there, and we had about 16, 18 kids, I guess. And we hiked and did this hike the whole way up. We got all set up around the dam in different spots. Well, Dave was he was a younger guy. He always was maybe 2 years behind all these other guys that was in there. And he hold his own with them, but there was times that he was still my youngest son, not my oldest.
Just learning.
Yeah, so I'm hooking everybody up. I'd be hooking up, get his hook set and everything, and I'd give it to him to cast, and I started to go down and hook another guy's up, and he wound that thing up, and it come backwards, and the hook went into my ear, and he hooked my ear, and he was ready to throw it out, and hold it, stop, hold it, and I'm holding my ear in the line, and he didn't know whether to slow it roll down or what, and he turns around and says, "What should I do?" And I said, "Just lay it down easy. We'll cast it again." I think at the time, him and his buddy Scott, I was working in the garage and I'm in the middle of doing something. And he said, "Dad," he comes over and said, "Dad, can I have his tank?" And I, "Yeah, go ahead, take it." I wasn't even, didn't even look, I wasn't thinking. So here he grabbed the 30-pound can of Freon, which was worth a couple $100 worth of gas, Freon gas. And they went, and next thing I know, about an hour, 45 minutes later, I hear from the school a call that I got to go down to the school. "Did you let your boy have this?" And when I got in the car, I go down and I come in, and there he is, him and his buddy Scott. One's holding a horn, one of the air horns, and the other one's turning the gas and blasting the whole gym. Well, here they ruined the game. The referees were throwing them out of the game and out of the building. Principal has called me to go down there, but the gas was dangerous, illegal now. It is because it's Freon. And he said, "Well, you told me I could have it."
Oh my God! So my dad did a health hazard for the whole school, and you didn't even think to look. You just thought he was taking some random thing. He's trying to kill
He
people.
said, "Can I take this? Can I have it?" Yeah.
I could just see you because you like to pay attention to.
I was involved in repairing something, and he was bothering me.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the No BS Marketing Show. We'll be using the month of August to celebrate our 5 years of the No BS Marketing platform, so make sure that you stay tuned in throughout the rest of the month. Remember, ask yourself what is a big idea and build your story around the answer. It's all about bold solutions, no BS.